This is a review on the polynomial exponent. The first part we will be doing is combining or adding and subtracting with the polynomials. You're going to combine the like terms. I'm going to box together my x squareds. And I have 6 minus 3, which is 3x squared. 6x minus 7x. Negative 1x. Negative 8 plus 4 is minus 4. To check your answers in the graphing calculator, you would press y equals. You'd put the original problem into y1, which you believe the answer is, into y2, and press second graph. Here you would look in your columns to make sure that all the numbers in y1 match y2. If they do match each other, that means that you are correct. There's the next problem. Why don't you pause the video and take a minute and try and find the answer and come back and see how you did. First, I have an x squared. That is 2x squareds. Then I have 5x minus 3x, which is 2x. Negative 8 plus 2, negative 6. Okay, here's our next problem. Why don't you pause the video and come back and see how you did. Right here in between the two parentheses there's a minus. So this would be the same as putting a minus 1 here. And the first part you would stay the same. 2x squared minus 3x minus 2. Now the second part, you'd take negative 1 times x squared, negative x squared, negative 1 times 6, negative 6x, negative 1 times 3, which is positive 3. Now you would do it just like we did the first two. I'll put my x squareds together. 2 minus 1 is 1x squared, negative 3x, minus 6x, negative 9x, negative 2 plus 3 is plus 1. Here's the next one. Go ahead and pause the video and come back and see how you did. Okay, you have a minus sign again, and here you will multiply by those inside, change the sign of everything in the last parenthesis, but the first part will stay the same. So now I have negative 1 minus 4x, which is a positive 4x squared. Negative 1 times negative 2x, positive 2x. Negative 1 times 1, which is minus 1. Combine like terms. X squared plus 4x squared is 5x squared. 3x plus 2x is 5x. Minus 9, negative 1 minus 1 is negative 10. The next one, you can notice here that there's a a plus sign in between the two parentheses. Pause the video and see how you do. Because there's a plus sign in between here, I don't have to change the sign of anything. If you want to rewrite it without the parentheses, you can, but you don't have to. I have x squared plus 3x squared, which is 4x squared. X plus 2x is 3x. 1 plus 3 is 4. Here's the last one of these when we're adding and subtracting. Pause the video and come back and see how you did. I've got 2x squared plus 3x squared, which is 5x squared. Remember, the only reason I can do this without dropping the parentheses is because there's a plus sign in between it. 2x plus 6x is 8x. 2 minus 6, negative 4. Okay, now let's go into some of these other rules of the exponents. First one's right here. I've got 3 to the first power and x to the first power. If you think you know the answer, go ahead and pause and then come back and see how you did. Any number to the first power is that number. So x to the first power is just x. Just like 7 to the first power would be 7. Y to the first power is y. The other type we talked about is anything to the 0 power. Anything to the 0 power is 1. X to the 0 power is 1. I should take that back. If you had 0 to the 0 power, that is an error. You cannot have that. But any other thing to the 0 power is 1. 7 to the 0 power is 1. Y to the 0 power is 1. Okay, now I have negative exponents. If I want to rewrite this so I have a positive exponent, this is the same as saying 5 to the negative 1 over 1. Now if I want it to be positive, I'm going to flip it over, so I get 1 over 5 to the first power, or you can write it as 1/5. So the next one, x to the negative 2, that's the same as, to make it a positive exponent is 1 over x squared. So now looking at these two, pause the video and see if you can come up with the right answer. Well, y to the negative 3, that's 1 over y to the third. 6 to the negative 3, 1 over 6 to the third power. Now you could work this out even more if you wanted to, but right now I just wanted to make sure we understand the negative and positive exponents. Okay. Pause the video, come back and see how you did on this one, if you remember the rules of exponents we've been over before. Right here, this would be a 1 right here, and when you're multiplying, you add up the exponents. So all my bases are the same, so I have an x. 4 plus 6 is 10, plus 1 is 11. Here's the next one to try. On this one, you will multiply the two lead coefficients, and you get 12. Since we're multiplying and the bases are the same, add the exponents. And the next one, to pause the video and see how you do. My bases right here are the same, so I'm going to have an x, and you add those exponents. 3 plus 6 is 9, and then y to the 7th. Now the order doesn't matter. You could write y to the 7th, x to the 9. Either way, it doesn't matter. Here's the next one. Pause the video, come back and see how you do. On this one, we're dividing. So I'm going to find the bases that are the same, and since we're dividing, we subtract the exponents. So I get x, 6 minus 3 is 3. Now the y's right here, 7 minus 8 is y to the negative 1. It could be written this way, or with positive exponents, it would look like that. Here's the next problem to try. Now since we're dividing and we have a coefficient right here, 18 divided by 3, we'll treat that like normal and just a regular number, and it's 6. The x's, 6 minus 5 is 1, so it's x to the first power, but we'll just write x. The y's, I have a 3 up here. There's no number here, but I know that there's supposed to be a 1. 3 minus 1 is 2, y to the second power. Here's the next one. Now, I have 2 to the third power. Okay, remember, 2 to the third power means 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So I have 8. Now a power raised to a power, you multiply those. 6 times 3 is 18, so I have x to the 18. I have a y. 5 times 3 is 15. And a z. This one is a 1 right there. 1 times 3 is 3. Z to the third power. Okay, here's the next problem. I think we have about 3 more. Pause the video and see how you do. Now in this one I do what's inside the parentheses. I have x's. 4 minus 2 is 2. So x to the second power. Y's. 8 minus 3 is 5. And this is all still raised to the third power. Now I have x 2 to the third power. 2 times 3 is 6. Y to the 5 times 3 is 15. Yep, these are the last 2 problems. So here's the next one to try and pause and see how you do. Do what is inside the parentheses first. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Subtract the exponents because we're dividing, which is x. 3 minus 2 is 1. This is all still raised to the second power. 2 to the second power is 4. X to the first power. 1 times 2 is 2. X squared. Okay, here's the last problem to pause and see how you do. Take the first numbers right here. 3 over 9 reduces to 1/3. So my answer here is 1/3. Now I have my x's. There's a 1 up here. 1 minus 6 is x to the negative 5. Y's. 3 minus 1 is 2. Y to the second power. It could be written this way, or to make it positive exponents I could write it like this. Y squared on top, 3 on bottom, x to the 5th, and even to add more to it, you could see the answer choice looking like this, where they just leave off the 1 because we already know that 1 is supposed to be in front of that y.